Hello and welcome. As always, I'm your host, Casimir Basilius, Imperial Lord. And well, of course, it's solo tabletop RPG day. Fighting the urge to say Sunday, as it is only Sunday here. It's not Sunday for our Elysian viewers. But we are always and forever 2 days ahead of you. Not in space-time, just calendar-wise. You know, because we go by the Galactic Standard Calendar. You go by some sort of calendar system. But, well, in short, we have less days in the week. Well, no, we have the same amount of days in a week. We have less days in a month on average, and in total less days in a year than you. But we're not here to talk about the lore behind the Galactic Standard Calendar system. No, we're here to watch our adventurer, Juliana Aldis, go on mercenary adventures. It has been a while, so we're going to rather quickly, sort of. I mean, we don't do things quickly here, but we'll look at our inventory sheet, then prepare. I believe our plan last time is to raid a corporate tower for a vehicle, a starship of some variety. Specifically, I believe we will be going for a dropship. One that, well, hopefully has... I know there were two options, so it's been a while, but there were two options. One option was specifically going for some sort of light space shuttle yacht thing from some fancy individual, which would likely have FTL, more than likely, or to go for a dropship, which is very unlikely to have FTL. But we're going for the dropship for purposes of survivability, debatably. It's so overall, we're trying to get a target out of a city, past a military line, and into another country, basically. It's probably an easier way to go about it. But, you know, sometimes just gotta steal a corporate gunship and fly it over the front lines of a conflict zone. Sometimes you just gotta do that. As opposed to anything far more logical. But that's why we get paid the big bucks. Sort of. Not enough to actually buy an FTL-capable dropship, but, you know, enough to steal a non-FTL-capable dropship. So, without further ado, let's do this. Let's draw a play on words, I suppose. I'd barely call it that. Look, I don't speak Elysian, so, it's all just translated, sort of. So when I try to make a pun or play on words, I'm not sure how well it'll work out. We just do our best. So, let's, do this. I'm just going to skim the datasheet this time, because I have a good recollection of what's in it. Yeah, nothing too amazing. We got a hover bike. That's always nice. Oh yeah, the one problem we face. The one problem we face is getting the infantry fighting vehicle into any form of gunship. Crazily enough, it's not easy sneaking an infantry mobility. Well, it's more APC, to be honest. It's not easy sneaking an APC into a corporate facility and then into a gunship. It's not easy. Is it possible? Yes. Is it easy? No. I mean, it's a concern I have because I want to keep the gunship. Not the gunship, the APC. I also want to keep the infantry. No, the bike. I want to keep the bike. Both of those are. I mean, the bike's easier to keep than the. I mean, it hovers. So. It's also automated. Didn't we get it automated? I believe so. Hmm. I should have gone with the expanded stat block. It would have made things easier. Let's see. Um, I'm curious about one thing real fast. How much is this APC worth, money-wise? Let's check. Okay. We're looking at a rough value. This is a very rough value. That can't be right. What are my own rules for calculating the cost of ground vehicles? Do I know them off the top of my head? No. I couldn't possibly know my own set of calculation rules. Okay. It is worth about, give or take, let's redo the math. 240. About 115,200 Galactic Standard credits for the APC. Sort of. Well, let's very quickly double check. Don't worry, we'll be fast. Yep, DR's the same on this model. Speed's a bit higher. Yeah, so about around that. Like, it's not going to change greatly. Yeah, it's not going to change greatly. So it's probably not gonna, yeah. Our number's close enough. Our rough estimation was actually relatively accurate. So, um, Yeah, about 115,000, which is it's not a little, but it's not a lot. I mean, well, we're talking about buying starships with millions, so um, it's. I mean, we can't sell it. I mean, we can sell it, but if we sold it, we wouldn't be earning 115,000 galactic standard credits. We'd be earning far less. So, it's not really. Well, I mean, if we're gonna lose it, it's worth selling it. But I kind of want to keep it. Hmm. These are the problems we face. Hmm. So, I mean, terrible idea. Terrible idea. We could use the APC, which formerly belonged to a corp, to drive our target out of the area. However, I'm gonna. There's bad ideas with that. Let's be honest. Driving the equivalent, driving the equivalent to a Elysian M113 through a space war zone. Probably. Now hear me out. Driving what equates to a what? TL9, 9.1, maybe 9.2 tech level. So that's what TL is. Tech level 9.2. Infantry APC through a tech level 16 war zone. Mm, mm, doesn't doesn't seem like a good idea. Just saying. Probably. I mean, this thing's rated to stop. Let me make sure I'm getting the average correct. Here we are. This thing is rated to stop single 50 cals. If it starts getting bursted by 50 cals, it's gonna take damage. It'll stop one 50 cal round with light damage. It'll, I mean, very light, like negligible damage. Two, sure. But if they start hitting it with like bursts of 20 rounds in, single locations, we're gonna start taking damage. Let alone laser rifles. You know? It'll stop, well, to be honest, it'll stop a laser rifle round easy. If we're talking about like a standard laser rifle that one carries, like Juliana Aldous' laser rifle, not using armor piercing rounds, is less than its average damage is less than the damage reduction of this APC. So, on average, firing single shots from the laser rifle with non-armor piercing ammo is not going to do anything to this vehicle. Firing bursts of laser rifle, maybe. We're looking at damage getting done. Firing bursts of armor piercing laser rifle ammo will slowly degrade the vehicle. We would probably have to empty clips into it. Well, not clips or magazines, technically energy cells. You know, it's a laser rifle. It runs on energy cells. But point being, we'd not get a lot done, even with armor piercing bursts. What the average is 11 damage. This laser rifle. So 11 minus 7 plus like 5 for burst, 7 being 12 minus 5 armor pen. So we're looking at like 9 damage, and assuming the driver is taking it to parts, I mean, then we could score a lucky shot. But it's very likely that it's going to be a while. It's going to be several energy cells before the thing stops moving of armor piercing rounds. You know? If we were not using armor piercing rounds, we'd be doing what? 4 damage with a burst against 45, but even though it says 45, it's not you hit it with 10 bursts of 20 rounds and it's done, or 11 bursts or so. You have to take into account that the driver can take it to parts, which means we're going to be taking half damage to the part, half damage to the vehicle itself, which makes it 2 damage total. So we'd be basically just emptying energy cell after energy cell at it, hoping we get some sort of hit that makes the vehicle stop going. So it's not ideal. You know, it's not something that's really going to work out. So it's not like it's bad of a vehicle. But if it gets hit by a, 20 millimeter equivalent laser repeater, it's going to poke holes in it almost instantly. If you get hit by a burst of 20 millimeter laser repeater, 20 millimeter equivalent laser repeater, then, things gonna crumble real fast. Let alone hit by a tank round or a single bomb from an aircraft. Like, this thing's not something you want to drive through the front lines of a war zone. Are there better APCs? Yes. Are there better damage reductions available? Yes. But this, is what we're stuck with. And as much as I talk it down as being terrible, I want to keep it. I want this vehicle. Hmm. We could have it transported out, but that would cost us money. I mean, as much as I talk bad about this APC, it is stronger than my hoverbike. I mean, my hoverbike has a heavier mounted gun, but you can swap guns out easily. So, like health wise, damage reduction wise, it is more armored than my hoverbike. So, it also carries more. But that's just how it is. Hmm. So, let us figure things out. Let's go to this map. Yes, this is the right map. We could get our vehicle relatively to the edge of the city relatively easily. That's doable. Getting it the 10, let's double check. Yep. Getting it the 10 kilometers technically like 20 kilometers to here is the harder part, given that this is the war zone. Our government we're working for is the blue one here. So, hmm. Yep, 20 kilometers also. They're fighting between these squares, so technically a bit less than 20 kilometers. But it's still a daunting task. I know we can't technically go around the line of battle is all the way across, technically speaking. And goes further this way and further that way, technically speaking, so we can't just go around. Also, this is mountainous terrain. And these are rough woods and these are woods. So, that's a river. Is this thing amphibious? That's a good question. Let us check. The answer is the APC we have is special abilities. Not amphibious in any way, shape, or form. It cannot. Well, I mean, it can touch water. I was going to say it can't touch water. Technically, it can. It can even drive through very shallow water, but it's not going to go through a river, It's not going to go through a river. Does it even come with fording equipment? No. No. It doesn't even come with the ability to ford. Hmm. So yeah, we're not going over the river. We're not going over the mountains. Or through the swamp. Or through the rough woods. I mean, theoretically, we could drive it through the rough woods, I believe. Which leaves the open plains of the battlefield. Or far further. It's just not viable. For scale-wise, that's 1,000 kilometers, I believe. Yep, every one hex is 1,000 kilometers. And this would be 1,000 kilometers, 100 kilometers, one of these sub. Then these are 100, then these are 10. These are 10, and these are 1. Then theoretically, there's one more scale. Let's see. So what is the plan? I suppose the plan is going to be to steal the vehicle. The the word evades me. The dropship from a corporation. Theoretically, if we're fast, we can pick up the vehicles and then retreat. So that would get us the vehicles. I suppose we'll steal the dropship and see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. So let's come up with a plan, see what the bot says, and roll some dice. Assuming we can find the proper map. This one. Yeah, well. Here we are. I suppose the first order of business is going to be to ask. Well, let's check our allies first, real fast. No damage. No damage. They all were healed. Very good. Okay. So we have about a total of 4 people to assault a corporate tower and steal a gunship. We're going to have to be very tactical about that because, well, if you know how Galactic Requiem works, you know that that's a death sentence. So, tactically speaking, how how hmm hmm once again we come to the plan of floating the gunship, let's say gunship, the hoverbike up to the port and trying to land in the port. Now, of course, the hoverbike can't lift the APC, so it's not like we could do that. Can our hoverbike carry people? Yes. Yes. How many people does it carry? That's a question that should be answered. We're thinking outside the box to the best of our ability. 2. It carries 2 people. Now, technically speaking, it has a cargo capacity of 50 pounds on top of the 2 people it can carry. We could carry 3. However, the 3rd person would have to hold on to the outside. Could we carry 4? Hmm. Hmm. I wouldn't test it. I wouldn't test it. We also couldn't carry all our gear, technically speaking. That's the problem. That's the problem. I think we could carry 3 people at most. Even though cargo's 50 pounds, it could lift a 3rd person. Once more, I stated they would have to ride on the outside. But it's 4 of us. It's not going to work. Unless one of us stays behind. How hard would it be to fly up to a corporate tower, land in their landing bay, their military landing bay, say military, it's corporate security, technically speaking, steal one of their gunships slash dropships, and then fly out of there, quickly land and pick up a bunch of, well, our last team member and the vehicle and the target. Because I say there's 4 of us, but there's technically 5 because there's the target that needs to be secured. And then get out of there before anybody realizes. That would be difficult. Very, very difficult. Not something. Hmm. Is it more difficult than fighting our way up a corporate tower? Hmm. Hmm. Maybe not. What about sneaking in? That is an option. Um, Given that none of us are specialized in forgery, disguising, or talking with people, That doesn't seem like that'll work. Which makes the flying up to a corporate tower crazily seem like the most viable plan, despite being absolutely insane. What would we need to achieve? What are the dangers we'd face? Assumedly, our party's in a planning meeting. The dangers we'd face, well, they'd be alerted the minute we start breaking traffic law. But we can, technically, legally, assuming we're not spotted, obviously, with a gun mounted on the outside of our vehicle, well, go on the street up to the tower. Basically, drive up to the ground floor of the tower. The minute we start hovering upward, we'll get detected. Now, if you're wondering why don't you, of course, there's likely air traffic, right? Well, it's highly restricted, but also, even if we were in a place that wasn't in a war zone with restricted air traffic, the moment you break traffic lanes, basically you're spotted. Things are scanning you, detecting you. You're spotted the moment you break traffic lane. And it's unlikely a traffic lane heads right up to their doorstep, So, I mean, they have their own routes that they have pre-approved, but obviously if a foreign, I say foreign, but, not corporate, not of their corporation, have a vehicle just breaks from the lane following one of their lines, it's going to be suspicious. So it's probably easier to get up to it and then hover upward, probably. It's also safer for the person hanging on the outside of the vehicle. From there, we gotta hope they don't close the blast door. Land in their landing bay, deal with whatever security they have, get onto one of their ships, maybe have to hack in to their ship. If they close the blast doors, we'd have to hack through the blast door, not with cutting devices, but with computer hacking. Hack through the door, hack the gunship/dropship. It'll be lit up. We then have a very short amount of time to land it. We would also have to probably fight whatever security forces are there. Likely they will, the minute we start hovering next to their building, they'll start responding if they detect us. But it will take them time. It will take them time. So we're likely to see a couple of squads at most in the gunship bay, maybe. Minimum, we'll see half a squad, maximum 3 squads. Not the easiest thing to fight. Assuming the blast door's open. If we take a long time getting through the exterior blast door, we'd be facing up to the 3 squads more than likely. Maybe more even, depending on how long we take. I'm assuming minimal times. Fly out of there. Head to, assuming they don't close the blast door behind us, head to the gang base, pick up the target and the vehicle, and then leave the entire area, fly over the war zone, and get out. It's starting to seem like we need a hacker. Now, just everything's pointing to the need of a hacker. You know, Aldous can hack, but she's not good at it. So, we'd want a dedicated person who knows how to hack. It's not like they need to be there. Like, it's not like we have to bring a hacker along. They can probably do most of it remotely. But we would have to pay them. Doable. It would solve a lot of our problems. Could even make it a lot easier. It is a plan. Hmm. It's a it's a dangerous plan. It's a very dumb plan. Is it as dumb as driving an APC through a war zone? Hmm. Maybe. I mean, let's do a quick math. Quick math. Um, Dropships on average, we're talking about the average dropship, probably moving a maximum of 20 squares. That equates, every square equates to about 250 meters in atmosphere, meaning, not counting acceleration time, we can go 5 kilometers in 6 seconds, give or take. I believe that's right. I think it's 5 kilometers in 6 seconds. How fast is that? Let's make sure I did my math right. That's in 6 seconds. We divide that by 6, gives us 823. Surely that can't be right. Surely that can't be right. I've messed up my math somewhere. Probably. Let's find out. No, that's technically mostly right. About 3,000 kilometers per hour, I believe. If I've done all my math right. Which is 250 times 20, 5,000 in 6 seconds. So we divide that by 6 for 833.3 repeating meters in 6 seconds. Well, no, meters in a second. So speed 833.3 repeating. Yep, 3,000 kilometers per hour. Which makes sense for a spacecraft. Well, actually, spacecrafts are faster, but we're talking about in atmospheric speeds. So they are reduced. Of course, space traveling craft can accelerate to percentages of the speed of light using light warp bubbles. So that is 5 kilometers in 6 seconds, meaning it would take us 12 seconds to get to the front line. Well, to crawl. Well, let's see. Every square is 10 kilometers. We go 5 in 6 seconds, so 12 seconds per square. Once we hit the war zone, 24 seconds before we're behind Allied lines. However, we're going to be targeted the moment we get the ship. We'd have to land there, pick up the people, looking at a total of 9 to 10 squares, give or take. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 to 9. So we'll round up 9 squares times 12. Not counting acceleration and the time to load means it'd take us 108 seconds. Yeah. $108. Once again, not counting additional times, we can round up. It'll take us 2 minutes to fly, counting acceleration more than likely. It'll take us 2 minutes to fly. Assuming we leave one person behind, the time it would take to load the vehicle, land, load the vehicle, get up. I'm looking at what? 3? So we'll add an additional minute. 3 minutes? The operation would last 3 minutes. Not counting, that's after getting the vehicle. After stealing the vehicle, the operation would last 3 minutes, give or take. Because we could just drive the, we could put the person and all of our gear in the APC, land, drive the APC just directly with all of our things, with the one person who'd stay behind and the target, into the dropship, take off, fly. So we're looking at, 3 minutes. Like the loading time, probably take, counting a minute, landing, loading, not per, but in total, a minute to handle that, get back up and accelerate again. So 3 minutes once we get the vehicle. How long would it actually take us to enact the objective? Less than a minute. Less than a minute. To float up to the bay, maybe 2 minutes, probably less than a minute. To float up to the bay, jump in, kill everybody that gets in our way, get in, and fly. Well, let's check. Let's open our big rule book of vehicle rules. Vehicle rules. Okay. It would take, it's a smaller craft, so it would take a full action to enter it for the most part. So that's basically what I would expect. How long would it take to power it up? About a full round. So we're looking at 12 seconds to get the vehicle up and moving. No. No, I looked at the wrong section. 3 rounds to start the vehicle and do all the checks. It's either 2 to 3 rounds. Bit harder. Doable. It's doable. This entire series of events is doable. That's not to say it's not exceptionally risky. We would need the best fighters, and we probably need a hacker, because things will go wrong. It's not the fighting I'm worried about, or the powering. The tracking is going to be a problem. Luckily, so let me put it this way. This would never work if there was not a war zone here. Because if there was not a war zone here, immediately forces would be scrambled against us. They would be immediately scrambled against us. There is a war zone here, so it's a lot harder for the nation we're up against to chase us or do any such thing, which is why we actually had to wait for this plan to even work in the first place, given that the line was back here. There's no way we'd make it out like 120, 110 kilometers without getting shot down. But since our allied nation was able to push the border of the war zone up north to just 10 kilometers away, well, 20 kilometers away, technically speaking, it makes it possible, but it's risky. As much as I make it sound like it might be easy, enemy missiles, enemy launched craft, crossing the war zone itself, it's not simple. It's not as simple as I want it to be. I mean, I don't necessarily want it to be simple. It's just, like, this doesn't want to explode. So, obviously, it's quite a task. But it's possible. Hmm. It is possible. And it's probably our best plan, if I'm being honest. As much as I say theoretically we could drive the APC, I mean, other than waiting, it's our best plan. That's 20 kilometers, and this APC has a speed of 100 kilometers per hour on roads, I think. Let's double check its speed. 880. So yeah, 100 kilometers per hour on roads. 100 miles per hour, sorry. 100 miles per hour on the road. Let's do some math. Length, miles, convert to kilometers. So 160 kilometers in an hour. What's that? We divide that by 20 as we're going 20 kilometers. Gives us 8. So that'd be an eighth of an hour, if I've done my math right. We're not going to be going at that speed. We're going to be going at half that speed. So that wouldn't be an eighth. I've done my math wrong somewhere. It'd be more, in fact. It's just not ideal. It's possible. It does seem possible. I mean, we are. I do want the dropship. I want to own a spacecraft. Difficult. Very difficult. Yeah. Plan is, I suppose, going to be to steal the gunship. Dropship thing. We'll have to pay a hacker. It'll come out of the expenses, so that's easy enough. Can even probably get our allied government to not only cover the cost, but to actually do the hacking themselves. Yeah, very possible. Very possible. Hmm. Okay, we have our plan. We have our plan. I mean, I suppose we had the plan last time, but we have it this time too. We've double checked and arrived at the conclusion that we're stealing a gunship, dropship thing. And we know exactly how we're going to attack it. We're going to need a hacker, which we will deal with our allies. I suppose with a +6 to the question, will the local government give us allies? Well, will help us hack, basically. Will our ally, not local, will the allied government help us hack in to get the target that they want with the +6 modifier? 2d10, yes, no question. 9 and 10 is 19, which is already a yes, with a +6 modifier, which is very yes. It is actually exceptionally yes. They'll provide us air cover the entire way because it's an exceptional yes, technically speaking. It's not exceptional, but it's a strong yes. So they approve. They'll provide us air cover and support along with hacking, which makes it very feasible. Okay. Okay. Hmm. There's nothing but actually doing it then, I suppose. Who are we bringing? We'll eventually bring them all, but one person's going to watch the target, and the other three are going to raid the tower. None of them are injured. He's already over north, so we'll just have him guard the target. Bring two of our mercenaries. One in, and one on the hoverbike. Once we start, though, there's no going back. Hmm. Not easy. Still a bit worried. Just a little bit worried. But it's a terrible plan. I was going to say it's a good plan, but it's not. It's an absolutely terrible plan. Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to need a very little bit of a map. So we'll head out northeast, northwest, towards one of the approved corporate towers that we're looking for, specifically the one we have information on. Arriving at this corporate tower, well, should we keep our gun mounted before we go? Should we keep our gun mounted? Yes. but we're gonna have to go fast if we keep our gun mounted. There's gonna be no delay. We're gonna get there and begin. Yes. I mean, to be fair, if everything goes smoothly, if everything goes absolutely smoothly, we'll get up there and there will be 5 people and an open door. And we'll be able to fly right in and do it all easy. If everything goes fine, this is a 3-minute operation. 4 minutes if everything goes perfectly fine. You know? So what am I worrying about? Let's do it. You then all descend. The 3 mercs will hover towards the area low on street level, heading towards the corporate tower. Arriving at the outside of the corporate tower, well, 1 block away from it more so. 1 block away from the corporate tower, our party, I suppose, will begin hovering upwards towards the tower. They will make a detection check, which will be put against our local allied hacker as they are going above and beyond. So let's see whether our allied hacker is able to suppress them. First roll is for our allied hacker. Will they spoof the stuff successfully? 15 versus a computer systems modifier. Hmm. So that's going to be a total of 35. Nope, 10, 20, 30, 45. Which is technically a success. They need to succeed 1 more check. 10, 20, 30, 40, which is another success, meaning the enemy will basically be at the place before they realize. As our hoverbike begins hovering upward, they will only be able to see it with their eyes. So they will get a perception check at penalty to see if anybody actually visibly notices us and cares enough to contact command. With the 6 versus, well, 6, let's see. Worker stats? Looking for NPC chart? Average workers, here we go. Notice. None, but an innate +2. So 8. Somebody probably sees us with an 8 out one of the windows. But with an 8, well, they see us. They definitely see us hovering upward at speed. Will they respond? Do they comprehend? That will be a check. They do comprehend. Security will be alerted. It would take them time, however, to alert security. How many rounds? A little bit up to half a minute. All them doing it instantly. 4. So a little bit less than half a minute before they put through a report because, I mean, they're not going to immediately. They see a armed. I mean, it's armed, but I mean, they are a corporate security force, technically speaking. So he's not gonna, stand up, point, and start yelling. But it'll take him a couple of seconds to walk over to somewhere in which they can report and report. So we have like 24 seconds, basically. That's what 4 rounds is. So 24 seconds. Because they're a bit slow to actually realize, stand up, and go and send a report. We're accelerating and hovering at a rate. What is our vehicle's movement? Okay, so we're hovering at a relatively high speed. But we have to remain relatively slow. So it wouldn't take us too long. Let's check. We just have to hope that this is less than 4 on a d4. If it's 4, we lose. Not really lose, things get hard. If it's less than 4, we're good. Because it's assumed they don't see us at the ground level. They see us somewhere up the tower already. Let's see. 4. Not good. We get up there. By the time the alert is processed, we've arrived at the floor. We see a little outcropping and an open door currently. That is luckily, not going to close due to our hacker succeeding a lot. They're in their system. So they will have to close the door manually. Hovering above an opened bay above most of the city, we will fly right in. The top of the gunship, I say gunship, the hoverbike will open, and our 2 people, our 2 allies, will jump out and begin basically beelining towards the gunship. We, in our hoverbike, will open fire at the security checkpoint, the security room, basically. That is going to be a combat roll. Of a nat 20. Now we just need to succeed. 11 is a success given our ranged attack bonus. At least I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure. We can double check. Yeah, RAB of 10. So, and 11 is more than enough to hit the target because that's 21. So, basically, we pepper the little security box at the far side of the room. Well, checkpoint, it's not a box, there's a wall, and we're hitting it with a burst. That is going to be 3d10 plus 1 times 2. Plus, well, plus 10. Let's see what our total is. Here we are. 6. So it's going to be 3d10 plus 6 total. Times 2, of course. 44 damage. 44 damage is... Let's double check. Material strengths. Passing right through that armored security checkpoint. And doing 34 damage to the people sitting at their chairs and consoles. Oh god. 34 damage minus their armor, which is probably not going to be fully worn, but we'll assume they're in full armor. We'll assume the worst. Still leaves them 29 damage to health each. Although we'll be generous and assume some of them take less, additional 5 damage reduction from other such things in front of them, which still leaves them to 24. And let's suppose like one guy has maximum, which would still be 19 damage. So maybe one of them can save or die, but they're going to take 2 critical wounds anyway. So basically, the 14.5 millimeter just opens up with a burst of 20 rounds into the armored checkpoint. The rounds rip right through the metal, right through the people's armors behind it, and into basically killing them instantly. Basically, I mean, we'll give one guy a roll. We'll be kind, like I said. We'll assume. 14 minus. So one guy might survive with 2 critical wounds. The other 2 cannot survive in any way, shape, or form. He'll spend his action dice to live, not take the thing, but he's basically down on the floor. Like he will dive to the floor, having been hit for basically all of his health. Let's see. Our 2 allies shouldn't have to run far, as we have it at the bay. It'll take them 1 round to get there. What will this one security checkpoint man do on his turn? As much as, from a game perspective, of course he stands and returns fire. No, he doesn't stand and return fire, let's be honest. This guy, having a normal day at a security checkpoint in a dropship bay, just sees his 2 allies turned to mist right next to him. He takes a 14.5 millimeter round, going slow at this point, tumbling into him, still enough to do damage, but he is hit by one tumbling 14.5 millimeter round that passes through his armor, dealing critical wounds to him. He's probably has internal bleeding somewhere. He has just landed on the floor. He's not going to stand up and start firing. He is going to lay there. That's the most logical thing he can do, given that, technically speaking, the 14.5 millimeter gun is still firing full auto across the room. He's staying down. He doesn't have his assault rifle on him. He maybe has a sidearm. That thing's across the bay. He's not going to stand up, look through the glass so it can see him, pull his pistol and start firing, or stand up and reach for one of the assault rifles on the rack. No. No, he's staying on the floor, and he's gasping as he bleeds internally. I don't want to jinx it, but so far it's going rather well. Let's see. We will prepare to look at the door, given that the mounted gun tracks off sight. We'll prepare to look at the door. We can technically make another burst, but we'll just prepare. As our allies will, one, dismount, move towards. Next turn, they should get in the vehicle. Of course, at this point, everything goes red, and the lights start not flickering, but they go into emergency mode, and we hear ba 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 as an alarm goes off in the building. Luckily, the door won't shut, given our successful military hacking by our allies. Will the security force make it through the door before we get in the ship? That's a question for the bot. 1 roll for chaos, no chaos. Now yes or no? 1 and 8 is 9. 9 on the chart is no, but we'll give him a 2 because we rolled a 4. So yes, before when we were trying to get timing down. So they were prepared enough to get to the door. But that would be their action would be opening the door. Our turn, we are going to suppress the door. We're just going to open up at the door with a 14.5 millimeter, meaning we're not shooting at the guy who took a critical wound, but I doubt he's going to get up even if rounds aren't penetrating the armored little area he's in. You know, I still doubt he's going to get up after taking 19 points of damage directly to health, and he has, like, what, 20 HP. He is just a guy, after all. Like, he's a corporate security man. He's not going to stand up and be like, I've got this, I'm going to save that. He's not paid enough for that. He's not. He's dropship bay security. He makes sure idiots who work in the building don't wander into the bay without authorization, you know? Like, he's not a corporate response force. He's gonna lay there still. In fact, we'll give him a morale check with the minus, well, no, normal morale check. Yeah, 4. He's staying there. He's on the floor. He's not gonna be on the floor. He's happy there. He's happy the bullets have moved away. He's not going to risk it. He's happy. He wants to go home today. The people at the door, who've just opened the door, are being suppressed. I doubt they want to take fire from a 14.5 millimeter. So they're probably going to stay in cover. Because, crazily enough, normal medium combat armor, as you saw, does not stop 14.5 millimeter rounds. I know, wild. Yeah, if you're thinking, but that 14.5 millimeter round crit. Yes, it did. It's unlikely to crit again. Yes. But it also had to pass through DR10 plating for the security checkpoint, and then DR5 armor. It penetrated 15 DR. Now it averages, as you can see there, 22. Still, getting shot once is like 17. That's gonna be more than your con. That's gonna be save or die. Getting hit by that is save or die. Even if it's not a burst, it's going to be 16. Meaning 11, meaning they're going to take a critical wound, which isn't save or die, but critical wounds have a chance of killing you instantly. So they're not going to risk it. That's just not something they want to do. They'll wait for, say, a shield. Either energy or physical to be moved up, or somebody in heavy armor, or something more viable. Meaning on this round, our allies get into the vehicle. That was what they'd do this round. And begin starting the vehicle, which is going to take 2 rounds. The enemies will use their tactical uplinks, and they will try and blind fire. They'll be taking a severe penalty. But 2 of them will try and blind fire with using a tactical uplink into the room. The 14 and a 14. So that's going to be 10, 17. So some rounds will hit. Plus 0, 9, and 12. Our little vehicle will take 4 and 7 damage. We will take it to a pot. Meaning we will, I mean, it's a bold move, but, you know. Why is it bold? Because if they hit our engines, it's over. Called vehicle attacks. Here we are. Taking damage to a pot. 2 damage, so 2 pots. Okay. Good, good, good. Not terrible. We take 4 damage to the gun. And 7 damage to the crew compartment. That's less good. That's very much less good. Let's double check. 40%. Okay. 10. That is both good and bad. Reason being, that is half full damage to crew compartment and not enough to do anything to our gun, get it one away from being our little turret being disabled. Let's double check crew compartment. Mm-hmm. -2 to our checks. That involve flying. Not ideal. Hmm. There is a very small chance, given the fact that they are suppressed, that they will take damage from firing, from suppressed they are firing around. Cover, using a data uplink so they get a little bonus against this, but we technically, as per the rules, get 2 attacks on the people who fired. The 7 for a total of 17, which is not going to be a hit, and a 16 plus 10 for 26. So that is going to be a hit. It's going to be 3d10 plus 1 for a total of 17. 12 damage after damage reduction to one of the guys. So one of the guys who's shooting around the cover gets hit in the arm. And that's basically going to be an instant critical wound to the arm. Let's see if it gets bad. Critical wound, wound location, arm. Well, is it arm or hand? It is arm. Not organs. No. Not rib cage. Arm, here we are. Ooh. Second critical wound, cut ripped. So they are bleeding violently from the arm. Likely not ideal. It's not removed. But, oh, they have to make a check. I should have rolled that on the thing. They rolled a 1. They drop their weapon. Doesn't hit any allies or anything, but they do drop their weapon immediately. Our allies are in the vehicle. I suppose we'll continue to suppress. As the vehicle begins starting up. I believe they will stop firing blindly. Let's see. Ooh. You know what? They might still, I mean, it's on move again. They might continue to fire blindly, honestly. Is the problem. They might snot up again. We're gonna pop the top of our vehicle open. We're going to take out our rocket launcher. Where is it? Here we are. And we are going to fire one base rocket through the hole. The door. It's not really anti-personnel. Let's not. Doesn't have a good blast. They're not anti-personnel rockets, so. Should have gotten anti-personnel. Oh. We'll use our grenade launcher. Gotta think outside the box. Our grenades have the package that allow them to be launched. Change that to 0. And roll a ranged attack. And hope. 18. Juliana Aldis raises her rifle, points the underbarrel grenade launcher towards the door, and goes thump. And an 18 puts that right through the door. Right through the door. So everybody in that hallway who thinks they're safe happens to take. It is a frag loaded. Yep, so 46 plus 1. $15, which damage reduction 5, meaning that basically everybody in that hallway is going to take 10 damage, which is over half the con, meaning everybody in that hallway is taking a critical wound. Actually, because it's a, let me double check the AC. Because a frag grenade, if I remember, we're using the good kinds, right? Let's double check. Yeah, keen 6, bleed 1. So everybody in there's immediately bleeding, but keen 6 means they actually need to save a die. Because 10 plus 6 is 16, and their con's not 16. So basically, everybody in that hallway needs to save a die. Against 16. That is a die, unless he uses his action dice, which you will. That's a die. That's a survive. That's a die. That's a die. And that's 5 of them. So that is one survive. The other will use the action dice to not die instantly, but they basically will take critical wounds. The guy who didn't die will negate the critical wound with his action dice. So one of them's injured, he does take the damage, he's just not critically wounded. The others are critically wounded, meaning they need to seek medical attention or die. They have minutes to get the healing. So there's a thump, and then a detonation, and just screams in the hallway as, well, the entire fire team is eviscerated by fragmentation and, well, detonation. They're alive, sort of. They're having a very bad time. I don't think they'll be popping around the corner anytime soon. And just because it's free, this is free for us to do because of our feet, we're going to load another frag grenade. We could even technically fire again, but we're not going to waste it. We're just going to load a frag grenade, and if they decide to fire around the corner again, they'll get another frag grenade. Problem solved. Okay. That will delay them, which will allow our dropship to get active, take off, and begin leaving. We'll follow behind it. Oh shit, I forgot to do one thing. Oh, I'm an idiot. Four. One thing I forgot is, technically our controls are not destroyed. Technically speaking, we take half damage. I forgot to do the one other step in our vehicle damage. Our vehicle takes half damage, the location takes half damage. So instead of taking 7, which is over 5, we technically take 4 damage to the part, and the other one takes 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2, 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, one gets rounded up, one gets rounded down, so technically we don't take damage to the controls, we do take half damage to our vehicle proper. Did that wrong, because I forgot that last step. Okay. Not that it matters, flying a vehicle normally does not take, you don't have to make a check to fly the vehicle normally, so it's not like it would have technically mattered or anything, but, you know. We'll have it out of there as rapidly as possible with our team. Let's see. From there, it's less than a minute to here and landing. And basically, at that point, just driving this guy, driving the prisoner into the rear of the dropship before taking off. And then flying over the site. Anyway, unfortunately, we will call it there for the day. And as much as I want to keep going, I have several things I need to do. 12 XP for a total of 37. 137, that is. Anyway. Unfortunately, we'll see how this goes next time. As much as I want to go on longer, there are things I gotta do. Anyway, as always, I've been your host, Casimir Basilius. We'll try and run these games for longer. Armor, possibly. Tomorrow. Saturday. We'll try and get news on Tuesday, but I'm not sure. Lots of things we need to do. But we'll definitely, more than likely, very likely, be here for World Building Wednesday and next Solo Sunday, which is on Friday. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by. I've been your host, Casimir Basilius, and I hope that you, yes, you, Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.